the boomers, right? The boomer generation people, right? The mother that got lucky and were able to go to college and only having to work a part-time job. You know, the people that grew up in an economy that was completely different than the one that kids today are growing up in.
Yeah.
It's so stunning to me that they're the loudest ones.
Right.
Well, why do we have to pay for your college? We did it the hard way.
Oh, really? You did it the hard way. You came of age in an economy in the 50s and 60s and 70s where college tuition was, what, 10% of your yearly income?
Yeah. I like to see them do it today. They wouldn't be able to.
Right, where you can raise a family
With one income?
with one income. You think we're growing up in that same economy?
Yeah. Oh, but you're making excuses. That's what it sounds like. Shut the man.
Yeah. Right, so it's like everything that's coming out of the Supreme Court is just pro-corporation, anti-minority, and anti-progress. That's what it feels like, you know? And that introduces us to this last and final SCOTUS decisions. The Department of Education versus Brown. Loan forgiveness for thee, but not for me. By a vote of 6-3, the justices ruled that the Biden administration overstepped its authority last year when it announced that it would cancel up to $400 billion in student loans. The Biden administration had said that as many as 43 million Americans would have benefited from the loan forgiveness program. Almost half of those borrowers would have had all of their student loans forgiven. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote for the court in Biden versus Nebraska, characterizing the decision as a straightforward interpretation of federal law. Justice Elena Kagan dissented in an opinion joined by Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Again, 6-3. When the Biden administration announced the program in 2022, August, student loan repayments had already been on hold for over 2 years. Betsy DeVos, who served as the Secretary of Education during the Trump administration, suspended both repayments and the accrual of interest on federal student loans at the start of COVID-19 pandemic. She relied on the HEROES Act, a law passed in the wake of September 11th attacks that gives the Secretary of Education the power to respond to a national emergency by waiving or modifying any statutory or regulatory provision governing the student loan program so that borrowers are not worse off financially because of the emergency. President Joe Biden's decision to permanently cancel up to $20,000 in loans for borrowers who qualify would have fulfilled a pledge that he made during his 2020 run for president, but after federal courts in Missouri and Texas put the program on hold last year, the Biden administration came to the Supreme Court asking the justices to weigh in. The challengers, 6 states with Republican attorney generals and 2 individuals with student loans, had urged the justices to strike down the debt relief plan, arguing that it does not comply with the HEROES Act and other federal laws. But before the court could reach that question, it had to determine whether any of the challengers had a legal right to sue, known as standing. To challenge a government policy in federal court, it is not enough that a plaintiff disagrees with the policy. Instead, the plaintiff must show that they have been injured by the policy. If there is more than one plaintiff in a lawsuit, it can go forward as long as at least one plaintiff has standing. In a 15-page opinion issued shortly before the Roberts opinion in Biden versus Nebraska, the court ruled unanimously in Department of Education versus Brown that 2 individual borrowers lacked standing to challenge the debt relief plan. But in the state's case, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit ruled last year that Missouri has a right to sue because it created and controls the Missouri Higher Education Loan Authority, one of the country's largest servicers and holders of student loans. If the debt relief program goes into effect, the states contended it could cost Mohela as much as $44 million per year, which will in turn limit the company's ability to contribute funds to support the state's higher education program. I'm interested to know what you think about it because I know you have a personal stake in this.
Well, I mean, just like I'm just one of the millions of, borrowers that, first of all, I'm one of the millions of people that believed in the whole go to college, get education sort of shit, And I mean, I'm not saying that going to college is bad. I think it could serve its purpose, dude.
In the pro-college propaganda?
Yeah, man. And, when you're there, it's like you're young, you're impressionable, and they make it super easy for you to borrow this money. Try go getting a car at that age, it won't happen, right?
That's a great point, yeah.
But you go and you say, oh yeah, another loan for tuition, another loan. Oh, no problem, just sign right here. Yeah, we'll get you a loan. And they're doing everything in their power to get you the money to pay that tuition, dude.
Knowing that you don't know a goddamn thing about what you're saying.
Yeah, knowing that you're not reading the fine print. I mean, I've been in there with loan counselors, right? I'm not attacking them, but the job is just sign the paperwork, kid.
The job is to get you into the school.
Yeah, to keep it retention, and continuous, enrollment, right? And I just feel like it's the help that they're offering is really not gonna erase all the debt, for many. But I mean, shit, a little bit of help would go a long way to saying, hey, we know that we kind of pigeonholed you into thinking that this is the way to go. And real quick, dude, I've heard this argument about people saying, well, how's it fair that people that didn't go to school?
I want to address that too.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
You can address it, dude. I just feel like that's a bullshit argument, dude.
Well, I want to know what you think about it.
Well, I mean, my thought about that argument is that I don't think that argument has any place in this, discussion here, dude.
Because it's a woe is me argument, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, well, you don't want to help your American, your fellow American. Like, I thought we're America first here, Right. And I mean, we're piping out all this money to Ukraine and other places, but God forbid that, a fellow American gets some help, dude, And again, for most people, the help that Biden was proposing wasn't going to wipe out anything, dude. It was just going to make a dent, in the amount that you owe, right? At least for me, right? And there's others that have way more than I do. But I don't know, man. It's disappointing, man. The decision to not help, Americans, with their student debt is pretty disappointing, bro. And I wish the outcome would have been different, man.
You know what really grinds my gears, though? Is I see a lot of people on social media, right? And it's usually, the boomers, right? The boomer generation people, right? The mother that got lucky and were able to go to college and get through it, only having to work a part-time job. The people that grew up in an economy that was completely different than the one that kids today are growing up in.
Yeah.
It's so stunning to me that they're the loudest ones.
Right.
Well, why do we have to pay for your hell for your college? We did it the hard way.
Oh, really? You did it the hard way. You grew up and you came of age in an economy in the 50s and 60s and 70s where college tuition was what, 10% of your yearly income?
Yeah. I like to see them do it today. They wouldn't be able to.
Right, where you can raise a family
with one income.
You think we're growing up in that same economy?
Yeah.
No,
people,
man.
They don't have a clue, man.
They don't understand, man, because they're from a different era.
Oh, but you're making excuses. That's what it sounds like. Shut the f***, man.
Yeah,
Jesus,
man.
dude.
It's like, again, man,
Even talking to a brick wall, dude.
And that's the argument, right? Like, why should people who didn't go to college, like you said, who have successful businesses and or worked hard, right? Like they always start there, like we worked hard to get, have to bail out students at bad decisions. And here's the answer: it's very simple, because we live in a society where decisions get made every day to allocate resources to things that you as an individual may not be supportive of. That's the social compact, man. During the pandemic, we passed the Paycheck Protection Program. You remember that?
Yeah.
Where we loaned out money to small businesses and large corporations all across the country who were, quote unquote, failing, right? We bailed them out during the pandemic. Guess what? Those loans then got forgiven to the tune of $757 billion.
Exactly, bro.
Worth of loans were forgiven.
Exactly.
We now come to find out that these loans didn't just go to small businesses. Kanye West got a loan. Millionaire pop artist Jeff Koons got a loan. Brady got a loan. Reese Witherspoon got a loan forgiven. Jared Kushner's family got a loan. Billionaire property developer Joe Farrell, a billionaire property developer Joe Farrell, a prominent Republican fundraiser, received up to $1 million in loans. Why weren't Republicans out there saying, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, business owners?
Not to mention a handful of Republican congressmen also got
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. And the answer is because many of these Republican congressmen and women who are celebrating the loudest also had their own PPP loans forgiven and paid for by you and me. Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, had $183,504 in PPP loans forgiven.
Damn, bro. And she has a problem with $10,000 or maybe $20,000 being forgiven.
These people
Wow,
have
dude.
no shame, dude.
They're
Republican
fucking despicable, dude.
Vern Buchanan. What a name, right? Vern Buchanan. Where's this guy out of the 1800s or what? Who had more than 2.3 million in PPP loans forgiven.
Wow.
2.3 million. Who out there has 2.3 million in student loans?
Nobody, dude. Wow, I didn't know that they were being forgiven to the tune of millions, dude.
As well as Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen, 1.1 million forgiven, and Republican Matt Gaetz, 480, basically half a million forgiven, as well as 6 in all of these Republican vermin. These are the people who are on TV today, Steve, on Fox News, celebrating that you didn't get 10,000 or 20,000 forgiven.
Oh, that's not fair to the American people. You hypocrite,
I want everybody to stew on that for a second. Just
Yeah,
marinate on that fact that the people who today that are celebrating the loudest that average Americans didn't get a measly $10,000 to $20,000 in student loans forgiven. They themselves have had their own loans forgiven by the government, bailed out by you and me,
Yeah.
to the tunes of millions of dollars, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more gross than this, dude. These ghouls. You know, these ghouls, dude, who are playing characters on TV.
Yeah.
And trying to convince people that they're taking like the moral principle, right? Like we're taking the principal position of being like the hard parent here. Like we got to tell people like you took out those loans and you got to pay them back because that's the right thing to do.
Nobody told him that on those PPP loans, dude. And that wasn't even debated, bro. The American people didn't even get a chance to say, well, it's not fair to us to be paying back these PPP loans. Like, it just happened,
It
dude.
just happened, dude. But why? Because student loan borrowers don't have any power. They don't have any leverage. They don't have any lobbyists.
Just pawns in the game, man.
Yeah, they don't have any lobbyists that are going to go and tell Marjorie Taylor Greene, hey, man, you vote for this? You vote for this PPP loan forgiveness program? Here's $30,000 for your campaign.
Yeah.
Right? Matt Gaetz, you know, here's a cool $20,000 for your campaign if you just sign on to this PPP loan forgiveness. And these other 6 goblins, right? These fucking
Goblins.
This incubus that's festering in our Congress. It's disgusting to me, man, the way these people think and the way they operate and the way that they're able to convince, man, average people that they're looking out for their best interest while doing everything in their power to service big donors, big corporations, and the banks and Wall Street.
And by servicing, you mean by blowing, dude. That's what they're doing, man. This
Well,
is-
I'm talking about rhetorically, man, but I wouldn't put it past these guys that
Yeah, dude,
they're
no,
doing
they're bent
physically
over.
also, man.
Yeah,
You know what I
dude.
mean? It's not just a metaphor.
Yeah.